What's going on, guys? Today I am here to talk about Fetty Wap. Fetty Wap is a very interesting case within the music industry for many reasons. And I think part of it is just because he kind of blew up in the in between period of streaming and like buying digital. And I think he also didn't have to really lean as heavy into the social media stuff as would be a lot more commonplace in just the following years after his blow up of like 2015, and then obviously like kind of like all 2016 he was just hot and making moves, and then obviously kind of cooled down significantly. Like a lot of people point to him as one of the big fall offs that we've seen in rap, because you really can't describe just how prevalent he was in that 2015-2016 era. Like that album, that big album, I can't even remember the name of it, but the big album that he dropped, I think it's his debut album. That thing had so many good songs on it and truly was ruling radio waves. That was like when radio still had some importance and stuff too. And so just to see how little people talked about him nowadays, even as just like maybe within the like, I think there are older rappers from that era that also didn't really end up like pushing their career through into the 2020s, but we don't really talk about Fetty Wap like that much, I feel. I think a lot of those other artists definitely get a lot more discussion around them, even if it hurts their career more so, because I think it's good for Fetty Wap that we have not been talking about him. Because if we were talking about Fetty Wap any point this decade of the 2020s, it would probably be in somewhat relation to his fall off, or like maybe making fun of some first week sales, because that is what you hear when people talk about those other rappers that I just kind of mentioned. Like when Smoke Perp randomly came back up into online discussion, I can't remember what year that was, like maybe 2-3 years ago. It was not for good reasons. It was people laughing at his show and being like, dude, you were one of the top artists at this time, and now you can barely get 20 people to show up to watch you perform. That is how he was being brought up. So again, overall net positive, I think, that people just kind of forgot, or for whatever reason. I think, well, again, he wasn't as huge into the social media antics that a lot of the people that came in right after him would get into. So you didn't really feel that connection, and I don't think he ever really felt the need to be super in front of your face the whole time, and still doesn't really feel that need, for better or for worse. And so really he just kind of got left in this like really like gray area twilight zone where, yeah, people remember him, but it's not where a lot of people's minds first go when they kind of think back to 2016, even though he was on top of that era. Like eventually they might think of him, but again, in my mind, a lot of other artists come to mind before I think of Fetty Wap. And I don't know exactly why that is. I'm guessing just because of the overall silence that followed from 2017 and on, because for the most part, a lot of those people that were also blowing up in 2016 that were maybe like right underneath him did continue to make waves for a little bit, even if they never really fully, saw the more than 5 years out of the career. Some of them did, and then others at least kind of made it to like maybe 2017, 2018 before they really, really fell off. And so now we have, if you haven't seen, Fetty Wap is trying to make a comeback, and I think that he may have fumbled this comeback like he has previously. I want to say I have seen Fetty Wap try to make a comeback multiple times, and each time it has fallen so flat on its face. Like I'll see some, like a little bit of buzz on social media, nothing crazy, but there's something there, and then he just absolutely doesn't capitalize on it. Before this current one that's going on right now, it was like when he first got out of jail, which I guess that was this year. So technically, we're not that far removed. But overall, I feel like he kind of got out, and then he dropped an album around that time, and nobody was talking about it. So I think I'm correct in saying that no one really ended up caring, and that attempt at a comeback just really fell on ears that were not listening. And now we have the newest one, which was he had a snippet going legitimately viral. and it was at least on TikTok. I don't know if Instagram Reels had anything going on with it, but TikTok, he had a snippet that was really, really making rounds. A lot of like videos were hitting my For You page. And granted, I would say TikTok's overall been nerfed as far as like a tool. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still very useful, but when TikTok first came out and everyone's For You page was a lot less individualized than it has become now due to the like obviously the influx of different creators, new content and stuff, as well as just like being able to actually feed their, history with likes and their interactions and all that for a more defined algorithm. Between those two things, it is now not really like the same. Oh, this is a big TikTok song. Like, it can do well through TikTok, don't get me wrong, but not everyone that's really using TikTok, or like a vast majority of people using TikTok, are going to know about it necessarily. I cannot even really remember the last time a song was that big that wasn't a song that was like already a known song. Like, I've seen a couple of those make trends still that, become pretty huge, but like a brand new original song that catches fire on TikTok and then, shoots up the charts. Like I said, it's still kind of like now in those personalized bubbles. But anyways, so he drops this snippet and it's good. And I will say, I also want to mention this. I love Fetty Wap. Fetty Wap, that was the prime of my youth, and I will never ever forget those times. And I like Fetty Wap as an artist. I think that he still does have stuff to offer. But I'm not gonna lie and say that like he did not screw this up, because that snippet goes viral. And it's granted, it is a snippet. I thought this was a Fetty Wap song. It's not. It's some other guy. Runway Richie, I think is his name. Let me just double check that. Yeah, Runway Richie. And nothing against this guy personally. I think this was horrible for him as well. And you're like, but it's his song. And that's exactly why. Because the snippet that was going viral, well, first off, when this song came out, Runway Richie had 5,000 monthly listeners. No offense, but like clearly this was not a big, well-known artist, and he was nowhere to be seen on the snippet. So when this song finally dropped, which that's another whole thing, is not only did the snippet go viral, but then he also managed to release the song somewhat within the time span of that snippet going viral, which is a lot harder to do than a lot of people would think. And usually, it's immediately a ticking clock on, all right, when are people going to stop like looking for this song / their For You page is no longer feeding them the videos that I'm pushing for it, trying to, generate buzz. And so you have, I don't know, maybe 2-3 weeks to get that thing out before everyone just kind of stops caring and their algorithm moves on for them potentially. And so he gets this out within a relatively short time span. I don't know exactly what it was. And then it's a Runway Richie song featuring Fetty Wap, which is like, okay. Like I said, nothing against this guy personally. His verse it was just forgettable. I don't even remember what it sounded like. All I remembered was he goes on for like a minute 40 before you even hear the Fetty Wap part. And all in all, the part that goes viral of Fetty Wap's verse is maybe 20 to 30 seconds of the song. And I know that's like a whole like shtick of TikTok, like the whole bad habits, Steve Lacy, like, yeah, that's the whole thing. But I think it's more so only 30 seconds do people know. You could turn on Bad Habits, and I think people would vibe out the rest of the song, although they might only know the lyrics and / really get that, part of their brain scratched in that one segment. It's not even Fetty Wap the rest of the song. It's Runway Richie. And I'm sorry, but I know the general audiences. Nobody's going to listen to that to get to your part that's 20 to 30 seconds long. I know that for a fact. This was a huge snippet, and I feel like could have ended up being something really big, and it's not really making the numbers. Based off the impact it had on social media, it should be doing way more, in my opinion. I'm not really basing that on anything other than just like, I don't know, gut / kind of what I've seen before. And to be honest, I don't even know if it's anyone's fault. That's even the worst part I don't even know if that's the worst part, but it's not necessarily Fetty Wap's fault because I don't know the whole dynamic of this. Maybe he just hopped on. He might not have a choice. Maybe he wanted to end up dropping on his own when he saw how crazy the snippet was going, but knew that, like, oh, I can't really do that. Who knows what the situation was? I mean, I know I don't. So you can only speculate. But this just was such a perfect aligning of stars for someone like Fetty Wap that you just don't get often. You had the snippet. People were messing with it. It's going legitimately viral. You dropped the song relatively close. And then it's a Runaway Richie song. And the part that people were vibing with is, I don't know, maybe 20% of the total song. And you just kind of know, like, oh, this song isn't going to do anything. Like, no one's going to want to listen to this, really. And maybe they'll get a couple listens before people are tired of listening to it because they thought it was going to be just a longer version of the snippet, and it was not. And that's very unfortunate for Fetty Wap. And also Runaway Richie. Like I said, I don't know anything about the guy. I didn't think his verse was that good. Well, I don't want to say that. His verse was kind of forgettable. And again, I don't think it's his fault. I think it's wrong place, wrong time for Runaway Richie. And unfortunately, everyone's just going to be like, who are you? And why are you on the majority of the song that I thought was going to be a Fetty Wap banger? And not his fault either. That's just kind of the way it goes. But I really, really do hope that maybe Fetty Wap does capitalize on his hype somehow and does drop something that people are messing with and, is more fitting to what someone would imagine a Fetty Wap comeback song sounds like. But you guys let me know what you think down below. I feel like this is a pretty solid take, to be honest. I feel like a lot of people would agree with what I'm saying. Again, like, no hate to anybody involved. Obviously, I'm sure both people kind of maybe wish this didn't go down exactly how it did, as far as just, like, the way people ended up receiving it on release because of the framing. But hopefully something positive comes out of it. But like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you later. Peace.